Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of What If Sonic Died. This series is an exploration into how the events of the main games may have changed if Sonic the Hedgehog took Shadow's place at the ending of Sonic Adventure 2 and died, returning through mysterious circumstances but with amnesia. Last time we saw the Sonic Heroes portion of the story conclude, with the teams going off to do their own separate things, but their relationships being forever changed. Sonic rejecting his past and sticking with his new Team Dark made up of Rouge and Omega. Meanwhile, Tails left alone to figure out a way of restoring his friends' memories. Today we're going to find out what they all ended up doing with their newfound freedom. But before we do, if you've been enjoying this series and want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe so that you can keep up to date with all my works. And if you would like to support me, please share the video around to those who may be interested. Now, let's see what everyone's up to. In the aftermath of the defeat to the Metal Overlord, our heroes had scattered to continue their lives. The Chaotix returned to their detective agency's HQ, located in Central City, where they once again continued fulfilling their role as general handymen and detectives, cashing in the rewards from their menial tasks and making certain hermit crab collectors very happy indeed. Tails returns to his lab in Emerald Town, helping out the locals as always, but now with a very renewed focus to try and find a way to create a device that can restore Sonic's memories. He does find it a little hard time to time as he remembers those slightly callous encounters with his hero and best friend, not seemingly as interested in regaining those old memories that he cherishes oh so dearly. But he also knows that it isn't his own fault, and he's going to do whatever he can to get his friend back. Team Dark, including Sonic himself, fade into the background. Not much is heard from them, at least by the likes of Tails and co. And so what they've gotten up to remains somewhat of a mystery. And it is with Shadow that we will resume our tale. Some days since the Sonic Heroes event have already passed, Shadow is scouring a forest during a dark and stormy night. Usually, this would be a mundane area of the world, no civilization to speak of, but Shadow isn't here for sightseeing. He's here because it is the crash site of Metal Overlord. His giant, warped and transformed frame lies in pieces, splattered across the green canvas of this wood. Smouldering still in certain locations, a forest fire had burnt through previously, but the damp moisture that's been raining down ceased its spread. Nonetheless, Shadow has to look under every single piece to make sure 100% that the threat is over. And eventually, he comes across the main piece, the remains of the chest and connecting neck. But where a giant head once was, instead lies a beaten, brash, and dented smaller blue body, the original form of Metal Sonic. Shadow walks up towards it and notices there is no movement. Once he stands over the blue metal frame, it's clear it's not operational. However, there's enough remaining that it could be restored, and that poses a threat all of its own. So standing above Metal Sonic, Shadow raises his hand to strike.
I still remember what I promised you. For the people of this planet, I promise you revenge. There's no reason for me to help them.
They try their best and never give up on their wishes. They always have a reason to be happy. That's why you should help them out. Saving them is a good thing.
Give them a chance to be happy. Let them live their dreams. That's the reason why you were brought into this world.
I must keep that promise.
Tell everyone to take care. With his biodata, I am more Sonic than he will ever be. Working away in his workshop, Tails is tweaking with some of his latest devices, the thunderstorm outside keeping him away from his sleep. But at the same time, it's not entirely unwelcome. Sometimes pulling an all-nighter is required if you want to get your masterwork done. A banging can be heard from his door, startling the young fox slightly, wondering who on earth would be trying to visit him at this hour and in this weather. So, cautiously, he puts down his tools and goes over to the door, looking at a camera on the side wall to see that there's no one up front. It's quite possible, perhaps, the storm is just making him hear things. So he turns to return to his workstation. But as he does so, a figure is revealed to be standing in front of his window, illuminated by a flash of lightning from outside. A pointy, spiked silhouette. Shadow? But he seems to be holding something. The dark hedgehog throws his arm forward, and with a loud crash, Metal Sonic's broken body flops in front of Tails. Metal? Why did you bring him here? Shadow looks at Tails in the eyes. Fix him. Fix him? What's wrong with you? He just threatened the whole world. It took all of us working together to take him down. Why on earth would I want to fix him? Shadow folds his arms. I promise, if he tries anything, I will destroy him myself. But why do you want me to fix him at all? We don't know what was going on when he took over, and it could be the signs of something the Doctor has planned. He doesn't seem to be very forthcoming in this regard. Perhaps we can learn something from Metal Sonic. Tails thinks on this, and he still believes it to be a mostly stupid endeavour. But if Eggman had any sort of plans that could indicate what was going on with Sonic, and that Metal Sonic might perhaps have known about them, then it's worth the risk. And as Shadow said, he is right here to deal with it. So with a sigh, and rubbing his sleep-deprived eye, Tails goes over to start preparing Metal Sonic. Looks like I'll be pulling another all-nighter! This is going to take time, Shadow. It's a complicated procedure. I have no idea if I'll actually be able to restore his systems, but I have been experimenting with Eggman's tech recently. Shadow leans up against the wall. I can wait. And wait he does, as the storm continues and eventually peters out, and even as the sun breaks through the clouds, Tails meticulously works away, using some valuable resources he had planned for some other endeavours, to repair Metal Sonic. But soon enough, Tails is done. Metal Sonic stands idle, hunched over, head down, as Tails presses a button on one of his devices, sending an electric charge that's supposed to be the final ingredient to restore this fiend. Red eyes flash to life upon Metal Sonic, and it stands to attention, but then remains still. Shadow looks unconvinced towards Tails. I thought you said he was ready. He is! Tails checks his computers. He is completely operational. Then why isn't he doing anything? Shadow walks to stand in front of Metal Sonic, looking him in the eyes. The robot doesn't budge. Oh, you're not gonna believe this. It seems like there's been lots of internal damage. I've got him functioning at a rudimentary level, but, well, the closest thing I could describe this to is memory loss. I don't think any of his data has been saved. He doesn't know anything. Shadow can't help but find a humour in that. First Sonic, and now his metallic doppelganger. Reduced to amnesia. But what does this mean? They brought him back, and he doesn't remember anything. So what are you gonna do with him now? I don't have any plans for Metal Sonic. I just might. I'm going to see how useful he can be. Useful? For what? To fight with me. To help me defend the Earth. What? Why? With metal? Think about it. The world's a big place, and I don't even know most of it. But on top of that, I can't be in all places at once, and our confrontation with Metal Sonic proved far more difficult than I would have liked. The truth is that if I did this alone, I may not have succeeded, and who's to say if some threat won't come around just like that in the future. but Metal Sonic has proven that he's quite capable himself. So if he's able to work alongside me, things will get a whole lot more simple. And don't worry about him going out of control. I'll be the one to put him down. Tails is very surprised, but he's also not going to argue. To be honest, he really wants some sleep, and Shadow's plenty capable on his own. Alright, fine. Try it, see how well that goes. I'm going to have some well-earned rest, if you don't mind me. And he gestures towards the door. Metal Sonic, follow me. Shadow strolls out from Tails' lab, and a moment later, Metal Sonic obediently follows him. He walks him from Emerald Town to the outskirts, where the environment is depopulated with luscious green hills. Once there, he addresses Metal Sonic again. I'm Shadow the Hedgehog. And from now on, you should consider me the only reason you still function. You are a robot, created by the hands of a Dr. Eggman, and have caused the world great harm. But everyone deserves a second chance at happiness. So I'm here to make sure you get yours. But if you slip up, I will put you down. I'm hoping to make some use out of you in defending the Earth. But for that, I need to see just how capable you are. So, I'm going to try and destroy you. You need to try and survive. If you can last for 30 seconds, then I guess we'll keep talking. Do you understand? Metal Sonic just stands there, regarding Shadow. Well, I suppose I'll find out sooner or later. He jumps up into the sky and activates his jet skates to hover in position, holding his hand above. Your trial begins now. And just with that, he flicks his finger and summons a Chaos Spear, throwing it down to Metal Sonic's position. His head snaps towards the energy projectile as it approaches, and he dives to the side. It crashes into the ground, lifting some of the soil up into the air, whilst Metal slides to a halt beside it. Shadow doesn't wait and throws another one, straight towards his current position. Metal Sonic makes the same movement, but Shadow uses his spare hand to throw a spear at his endpoint. Seeing this, Metal Sonic has to roll and jump over the explosion, getting pushed a bit by its wave. At this point, Shadow starts flinging more of them constantly, and Metal Sonic begins running to avoid them, hopping and weaving between them as much as he can. The footing is unstable, and whilst fast, he's not making full use of his inbuilt abilities, almost as if he's not fully aware he has them. The space between each spear and how far he's able to dodge narrows as each second closes by. However, 30 seconds pass, and he's still standing. So Shadow stops his attack and lands beside the robot. Not bad. Not as good as me, but not bad. The only response Shadow gets is his own reflection off the surface of Metal Sonic, but that doesn't really bother him too much. That said, you're capable of far greater feats than that. You should be able to outspeed my attacks when you can see them coming so obviously. Why don't you move the way you used to? Well, I suppose we can figure that out. Let's return to Tails and let him know that you're operational. A few minutes later, back at Tails' lab, the yellow fox has struggled to find any rest, the sun beaming in through his house, and his urge to get back to his projects keeping him from drifting off to sleep. But just before he thinks he's found his moment, Shadow teleports back inside alongside Metal Sonic, startling Tails out of his bed. Ah! Shadow, can't you respect my privacy? Don't worry about that. Metal Sonic here seems to be operational, though not quite making use of everything we know he has. Well, it's to be expected. Like I said, most of his data's corrupted and missing. I guess it's really going to be building him from the ground up. But that might not be such a bad thing, considering how he was before. You make a fine point. Looks like I've got my hands full for a while. Yes. Actually, since your hands are full already, would you mind doing a favor for me? Shadow raises an eyebrow. I have a delivery waiting for me at Central City for one of my projects. I really need to continue my work here, and I'm not quite awake enough to make the trip. Would you mind going there and picking it up for me? Who do you think I am, the ultimate errand boy? I did just fix Metal Sonic for you, free of cost, with my own resources. Fine. Okay, Metal. Looks like we're going on a shopping trip. Fortunately, Central City is not so far away. A few miles east of Emerald Town is all it takes. Shadow skates down the roads, with Metal Sonic running behind him, but he's having to slow down as the robot has not engaged its thrusters. Yet another thing he's going to need to remember. Once they do get into the city though, they take to the pavement so as to not disturb the social order of the people working around. That said though, pedestrians still will give them some very curious glances, some of them even fearful, as they make their way down the streets. Metal Sonic seems to occasionally turn his head to look at these people in a very unnerving, unmoving way, holding their gaze for too long, causing them to freak out. Shadow takes note of what's going around them and decides to enlighten his robotic companion. Due to your history as an Eggman robot, you've caused some trouble down here on Earth. Some of these people probably recognize you, and some of them just consider all robots to be dangerous. You're going to have a reputation whether you like it or not. Which is all the more reason that you need to mind how you conduct yourself. But you've got nothing to worry about so long as you follow my lead. I am the coolest after all. They turn a corner, heading towards the store that Tails asked them to visit. But as they do, Shadow's eyes twitch to his side, noticing the motion of a flying fist just in time to see it clank into the side of Metal Sonic's head. A dull twang rings out as he's lifted off his feet and smashes against the ground. Shocked, Shadow looks at the fist's owner. Amy? Breathing heavily with her fist still outstretched is Amy Rose, looking furiously towards Metal Sonic as he slowly picks himself back off the floor. Where do you think you're going? You picked the wrong city to terrorize while I'm here. Her eyebrows twitch as she then sees Shadow to her side. Shadow! But her gaze fixates back on Metal Sonic. We can catch up later. I'll help you take out Metal Sonic! And she leaps towards the robot to attack. Shadow follows her, very much surprised at re-encountering Amy in such a fashion. But as she's going to attack Metal Sonic again, he calls out, "Focus on evading!" Metal Sonic then puts a spring in his step and leaps back, dodging Amy Rose. However, the pink hedgehog assumed that Shadow's instructions were for her. Evade? What are you talking about? Let's end this now before we can do any trouble! And continues to chase after Metal Sonic, who in turn begins running away down through the streets of Central City. Shadow smirks. Looks like things are about to get interesting. Oh yes, quite interesting indeed. What is going on in Central City? Shadow touring around a notorious Metal Sonic, and Amy seemingly getting in the way. I wonder how this will play out. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until next time to find out, because this brings us to the end of the episode. So I hope you enjoyed your time seeing where the story is headed. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. It really does help me out. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment and subscribe so that I know I'm heading in the right direction. And if you'd like to help out the video further, please share it to those who may be interested. But with that all said and done, I hope you have a great day and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor signing off.